and every story can change the world. Together we are Global Speakers Talk.
Does that music get you going or not, or what? It does me. Hello and welcome to the world. My name is Tamara L. Hunter, and I am here to welcome you on the final day of the third annual Global Speakers Talk speaker event. We have heard over the last few days here in December from over 80 speakers. They have talked about AI. They have talked about intention. They have talked about leadership. They have talked about finances. They have talked about so much. And today, I believe we're going to be talking about three words to me that hit home, that hit my heart, and that is relationship, love, and family. Yet, who are Global Speakers Talk? Well, let me tell you, that's an impressive story. In 2021, there's a woman that wanted to speak, and she was not given an opportunity. And that woman said, okay, you won't let me speak? Guess what? I'll go out there and create a platform for not only myself, but for the world to have an opportunity to share their story, their message, their calling in life. And now, here we have created this event for you. And we have heard from speakers that are part of a community. We have keynotes that have spoken. We have first-time speakers that get an opportunity, a platform to speak. We have visionaries. We have those people that are making a difference in the world. Why is this important for you? Well, let me tell you this. This is a season of giving. This is an opportunity for us to give to ourselves and to give to others. Global Speakers Talk is a community, and we need more of that. It has been proven throughout the world that what they call is blue zones. Look it up. I'm going to be giving you guys some history lessons and also homework. Anybody that knows me will know that I'm going to say, get your pen, paper, get your pencil, get your journals, get something, because I'm going to want you to write down what you hear. And also, I'm going to want you to go back to the social media of your choice. Go back to Global Speakers Talk. And if you're not a member, join. Put the notifications on. Listen to the speakers. Listen with your ears. More importantly, I want you to listen with your hearts and your souls, because you know what? The world needs us showing up. And that's what Global Speakers Talk is all about. Also, today, you're going to be given another homework, and it's simple. It's some words. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Anybody remember those lessons in school? I'm going to want you to listen to each one of the speakers that are going to be speaking today on relationship, love, and family. I want you to listen again with your ears. I want you to watch them. Yes, I want you to get your journals, your notepads, your pens, your paper. And I want you to, more importantly, listen with your hearts. And I want you to ask the first question, who? When the speaker is speaking, who does it apply to me? And if by chance what they're saying is like, okay, no, that doesn't apply to me, do not leave. Important. Because I can promise you, I have talked to every single one of the speakers today, and what they have to share is going to apply to you. Something's going to apply to you. And if you can come out of this time with us with one thing, one action item that you can implement, because this is the end of 2025. Yeah, the elephant in the room, my decorations. I'm a big kid. And here in the US, we have a holiday that, you know, candy canes and such things are kind of like fun and everything. Yet here in my blue suit because of the fact that I'm here showing up because what we're going to be talking about matters. So listen, take notes. And again, who does this apply to? Does it apply to you or does it apply to someone else? And the first topic may apply to you, but it might apply, it might not. That's okay. Who do you know that it will? Because I assure you, you know someone, and they may absolutely need the gift. Again, 'tis the season to be giving the gift of what it is that you will be sharing with them. Now, I promise you this also. We're going to stay on time. Our speakers are ready to go. They're ready to go. They've been preparing for you because, again, Global Speakers Talk, what is it? Every voice matters. I'm going to say that again. Every voice matters. You don't have to be a speaker for your voice to matter and to be a part of this community. And every journey is honored. Yes. Wow. Do we need more of that right now? Again, 'tis the season to be giving. So our speakers are here. They're going to be sharing with you. What are they going to be sharing? Well, a lot. Clue, relationship, love, family. Now let's dive deeper. Is that fluff? Well, it might feel like it to some when you think of those words. Yet I can assure you what you're going to be hearing today is going to be a lot more than that. And I'm going to want you to take moments to ground yourself with what you hear. Touch your heart. Be writing down in your journal. I have mine ready to go. I'm not asking you guys to do anything I'm not going to be doing. Because you see, this group of speakers, this global platform of speakers, Global Speakers Talk, they come together and every voice matters. So let's just say you're not watching one of the big events and you go to the platform because you're like, oh, I loved it. I want to now go watch some of the other days because I'm going to read off. What were the other days? You had AI interventions. Who needs to learn more about that? Wink, wink. Yes, I'm sure you do. I know I do. Emotional intelligence, mental health in a digital world. Need we say more? There's an epidemic out there right now. And we had some speakers that had some solutions and great insight. Then power of affirmations. I am statements, right? Financial freedom. Who's ready in 2026 for financial freedom? Right? Leadership, resilience. Oh, that was a great one. And then today, save the best for last. Okay, I'm a little partial. Wink, wink. Yes. Relationships, love, and family. What we're going to do, and this is, Speaker 101, Global Speakers Talk, right? For those of you that are coming and you want to learn, tell them what they're going to hear. Okay, let's talk about it. Today, our format is going to be this. I'm going to introduce your speaker. Then you're going to get to see something that was produced by Ansu Tawari, the woman, the visionary, the woman that wanted to speak. And they said no. They said, oh, okay, I'll create my platform. And I will allow those that are not given an opportunity to have an opportunity. So she's going to put up on the screen some pictures and video and everything. Before I do that, I'm going to give you the title. So write it down in your journal, get your notepad, and then our speaker's going to come up. 10 minutes, jam-packed. So listen, and then come back and listen again. And then we're going to have a 5-minute little interview, and then we're going to go to the next person. So that's our format. 3 hours jam-packed for you, and we're prepared. So with that, let's go on and let's start with our first speaker. Our first speaker, her name, okay, love this name. It's perfect for today. Belinda Love. Belinda Love. All right, I'm gonna actually read because I want to make sure I've got this right. Conscious love expert. Wow. What's that? Well, we're going to find out. She's an author. She's a media personality. She is dedicated to guiding singles to raise the love frequency. Yeah, I love that one. And attract soul aligned relationships. She has been featured on some big name TV programs such as The Bachelor, Sunrise, Studio 10, and she has some proven strategies and so much more. Let's see what Ansu has prepared for you to see about her. You're going to be hearing now again, what did I say? If this doesn't apply to you, ask yourself who it does. Why do I keep attracting the same type of relationships? If it applies to you, you're like, oh yeah, what does she have to say? If it doesn't, be thinking about who does it apply to and text them and let them know they need to listen to this. Without further ado, here we go. I'm going to welcome to the stage Belinda Love. Ansu?
Are douchebags and psychos everywhere? Or are we creating them? Tonight's topic is all about sex on the first date, picking on stuff that we shouldn't even be concerned about. And then there's also the other extreme where we don't have any values at all and we're allowing people into our life that are treating us like crap. If a man is telling you, hi, welcome everyone. Thank you so much, Tamara, for that incredible introduction. It's such an honor to be not only the first speaker of this topic, but the last day for the entire event. I'll just share with you, it is midnight over here in Aussie land. So your engagement will help with my energy levels, and I really love to have interactive conversations. So if you have any comments, questions, thoughts, please pop them in the comments box so we can have a really intimate conversation. Yes, I am Belinda Love, Conscious Love Expert. I am the author of my book, best-selling Amazon book, Breaking Down the Breakup. And on this call, I will be discussing the reasons why you keep attracting the same relationships. And this doesn't have to be just intimate relationships. This can be with your friends, your family, your colleagues, and your neighbors. So whilst I'm talking about this topic, I would love it for you to reflect on your own lives, really get comfy, relax into this. As Tamara said, get your pen and notepad ready, have a nice drink next to you. And so first, I will be asking you a series of questions. And the first question I'm going to ask is, have you ever asked yourself, why do I keep attracting the same types of toxic relationships? Why do I have drama in my life? Why can't I seem to keep a relationship long-term or maintain a relationship? Why do I have toxic people in my life? Have you ever asked yourself any of those questions? And do you know what? There's no shame in this, because I have. I did for 10 years ask myself, why do I keep attracting these people into my life? I'm a good person. I do good things for people. And I will reveal to you more about what those people were like so you can relate a little bit. But I want you to know you aren't broken. Nothing needs fixing. And you are repeating the same patterns based on your imprints. So the next question I want to ask is, have you heard of an imprint or an imprint phase? I'd love to hear your answers in the comment. There's no right or wrong. Have you ever heard of an imprint phase? Okay, whilst I wait for some comments, I'll explain it to you. So an imprint phase is a situation or an event that has happened to you, which creates two meanings. And I'll explain the meanings in a moment. But they happen to you around the ages of 0 to 1, 5 to 7, 11 to 13, and 18 to 21. So if you can reflect back on your life about any times that potential things may have happened to you, this doesn't have to be a big event. It can be something significant emotionally, but it doesn't have to be a major event. Something that impacted you. And in those moments, we as humans, we're meaning-making machines. We make meaning of things so we can understand what they are. We make two meanings. The first meaning is a racket. So that racket is not so positive, and then we make a strong suit. And so I'm going to explain a little example of one of my own imprint phases. And that happened to me when I was 5 years old. I was just about 6 years old. My parents got divorced. And you would probably think, well, this is quite a common thing that happens these days. 50% of marriages divorce. Not after they see me. So what happened in that moment? I made the two meanings. The first meaning was my racket, which is I'm unlovable and men were unreliable. The second meaning was I needed to understand why relationships break down so I didn't repeat that for myself in my life. And so I'll explain how the racket came to fruition, but you can clearly see that my strong suit came to fruition as I'm a love expert. So I didn't want this to happen to my life, and now I help others avoid it or rectify it for their own lives. And so how did my racket play out in my life? Well, my racket played out in my life because I consistently attracted toxic people into my life. My first boyfriend, he disappeared after 2 years, just without a trace. And I'm showing my age here because it predated mobile phones and social media, so I couldn't find him or know how to track him down. He did find me 10 years later, actually, after I'd done all the inner work and explained what had happened and apologized. My second partner, I walked in on him cheating on me with my best friend. And you know what the interesting part of that is I suppressed that memory for 6 months. I had no recollection of me walking in on him with my best friend and seeing what was going on. I had blocked that until 6 months later when I went out for lunch with my friend, and she said to me, "Oh, Belinda, I can't believe you're still my friend after what happened." I thought it was a dream, but it was real. And so I ended that relationship 6 months too late. The next one, he was domestically violent. He was very abusive, physically, emotionally, a textbook narcissist, portraying himself as a comedian. That was his role. And it was at that point I had realized something isn't right. Why is this repeating in my life? And, and I'm not victim blaming. I'm being accountable. And I realized that I was the common denominator. I was the common denominator in my life, and I was the magnet, the beacon. My beliefs became the hologram or the reality of my life. And my beliefs were I was unlovable and men were unreliable. And that showed up for me. My imprint was playing out in my life, in real life, as a hologram. It was fascinating to actually realize. Now, as I'm talking about this, I'd love to hear from any of you if you can recall any imprints that you potentially may have had. There's no shame or embarrassment. This is the real inner work that we're doing on this call, because I don't want you to repeat these patterns like I did for years and years and years. And so I wonder, Tamara's taking notes. That's amazing. Thank you so much. So this conversation isn't to scare you or to blame you or to put fear into you. This is a conversation to create awareness, because without the awareness, you can't have the acknowledgement, you can't find the peace and the forgiveness, and you can't heal what is going on, and you can't shift these patterns. The neural growth factor, the NGF, that is what stores our imprints, and you can. The good news is you can shift them. So now I'm going to do a little exercise with you. I want you to look around the room, and I'd love for you to count how many things that you see that are red. How many red objects are in your room? I know Tamara has a few with her beautiful backdrop. And if you can, just comment, because if you're watching live or the replay, I'd love your engagement. This makes it so much more fun for me. So I want you to think again, when you were looking for all of the red objects, how many blue objects did you see? None, right? And why this is so significant is because our imprints become the focus or the forefront of our minds. And that is how they become the hologram, because we are now looking for these red flags. Red flags, not objects, because we're looking for the things we want to avoid, but then we manifest them or we attract them or they come into our lives, because that is how the mind works. It feels familiar. It feels safe. The mind and the body wants to keep us in survival mode. So even though it's not serving us, it will show it to us because that is what is familiar to us. So until we rewire the NGF, the imprints of our lives, to find the blue objects, we're going to repeat those patterns consistently. And this doesn't, like I said in the beginning, this doesn't just apply for intimate relationships. This applies for your jobs, your friendships, anything that is showing up for you. So whilst I'm talking, potentially things are flooding into your memory bank right now. Write them down, jot them down. But I want to quickly go over with you the 7 common love blocks. The 7 common love blocks: FOMO, the fear of missing out; the deadline, putting a timeline on when you find love; a worthiness piece, thinking that you're not worthy of love; dates, I'm over dating, I'm over the dating apps, that's a love block. No one wants or makes a commitment to me. Fear of rejection. So if you fear rejection, that becomes your love block. And if you fear commitment, that then also becomes a love block. So they're the 7 common love blocks. There are more, but they're the most common that I have discovered in my line of work over the years of being a conscious love expert. And so what I want to explain, I'll give you 2 examples now. So for example, if you have a fear of commitment, you will constantly meet emotionally unavailable people. Because you're fearing commitment, you don't want to find someone who wants a commitment, so you keep meeting those who stand you up, ghost you, want situationships. If you have a fear of missing out, FOMO, like you're never going to meet the one, you will meet the people that don't want a commitment, actually physically don't want a commitment, and then you feel like you are consistently, something is wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. You don't need fixing. We just need to uncover the imprints of your life so that we can rewire them, so that you can attract the conscious love that you truly, truly deserve. So I could talk about this all night, days, weeks, hours. I have a course that I run, the Soulmate Magnet Method, but I also would love to offer you my free quiz to uncover what potentially your love block is. And I know that will be passed on to you. But thank you so much for listening. That is the reasons why you're attracting the same relationships. And I hope that you've taken something away from this conversation.
Oh my goodness. In fact, I have to say, I really, let's do this. Let's do this because you deserve it.
Thank you.
We have fun here. I was taking lots of notes. In fact, the racket I know that some were saying in our internal chat that, yeah, they had heard about that before, but I hadn't. How is it that when I was thinking racket, like tennis racket, but there, really for it, give us a little bit more insight on that one.
On a
How is that going
racket?
to help us?
Well, see, the mind tricks us into thinking this is keeping us safe. But so by showing up what we don't want, we think because it's familiar, it is safe, which is why often people think chaos is safe and why people chase chemistry rather than compatibility. And if the chemistry fizzles out after a certain amount of time, they then give up on the relationship because then the compatibility starts to show up or not. It's like my book, on the cover of my book, you can see the heart cracks are filled with gold. I'm not sure if you can see that.
Yeah,
That's
I can.
Kinsukuroi or kintsugi. It's the Japanese
Yeah.
proverb to mend with gold because it makes the imperfections more beautiful. But people tend to not get to that point of healing those imperfections. They're simply chasing the trauma bond, as it's called.
So now let's get real with this, and keeping to attract the same type, and you're breaking that pattern, and like you said, the gold and everything like this. I love that with the heart. There are times, and you mentioned it with the domestic violence, that you do have to make that decision to walk away, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And if you have trauma from the past, your imprint phases that have taught you to people please, to not have your values or stand in your boundaries because you're fearing rejection, for example, then you will continue to stay in relationships that aren't serving you because you're wanting to either fix them or be chosen. Instead, we need to choose ourselves first. When you choose yourself and you stand in your values and your boundaries, and also understand the difference between settling and compromising, because settling is when we need to walk away, and compromise has to happen in a relationship because we don't always agree 100% of the time. And so once you get to that point, relationships just transform.
Say that again. I think someone needs to hear that again.
Which part? The whole thing?
That sometimes we walk away too fast, right?
Yes. Sometimes we walk away too fast because of our love blocks. We self-sabotage. So, and even as a conscious love expert, my relationship had triggers and traumas that we needed to navigate. And now it's the most incredible, conscious, deep, loving, supportive relationship I've ever experienced in my entire life. And
whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, anybody that knows me knows I've got that deserves a big, okay, good for you.
Thank you.
So there's hope.
Yeah, absolutely. But you have to be discerning. You have to know the difference between, are you people pleasing and settling, or are you compromising and working together? And how you know the difference is the action that takes place. Mm-hmm. So if the person you're with is all talk and no action, then you're going to be settling. If you see the action behind the words, then it's perfect.
Thank you so very much for joining us in what has to be the middle of the night for you there in the world down under in Australia. And you guys, follow her. You've got the information. Glenda Love, thank you so very much for sharing this topic. And remember, guys, if this didn't touch home for you, ask that question again. Who do you know that needed to hear exactly what was said? That's going to change their 2025 going into 2026. Thank you again, Glenda.
Thank you so much, Tamara, and everyone. Have a great morning.
Oh, and I didn't count, to be honest with you. I'm like, okay, I'm giving up. I have to tweak my head. So a lot of red. You mentioned it.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Glenda. Okay, everybody, stay with us, though. So we are going to now go on to our next speaker, Tracy L. Clark. Many of you are going to recognize her. She's an award-winning energy healer of the decade. Listen to this again. Award-winning energy healer of the decade. She's an acclaimed author. She is involved and dedicated to transform lives. And she has a groundbreaking body regeneration. I want to hear about this one. I'm going to have to do more research. Body regeneration method. Write that one down. Okay, from overcoming life-threatening events, many that know me know that there are those that are out there, to creating a business that is worth over millions of dollars, ventures, and a mission that is clear. To awaken our divine blueprint, to shatter our limitations. Who wants to do that? And create miraculous transformation of our lives and those in our lives. So audiences around the world they pay lots of money to go and see her, and you guys get to see this as a gift for free. So we are going to be welcoming to our digital stage to hear about relationships, our energetic systems. Relationships, write this down. Relationships are energetic systems. So welcome to the stage, Ansu. Let's play.
Beats. Yo, mess free, boy, in and out of public dollar dinner. Yeah, they say it's a golden age, but it's really a trap. AI hustlers out there putting scams on the map. Shiny website, flashy graphics, they entice. Premiers investment returns that are too good to be nice. Watch out, scammers are making their play, using AI to lead your investments astray.
Thank you. I am so thrilled to be here. And, it's interesting the way we follow each other on this event. So there are some things that I'm so happy to be able to follow Belinda, because it's so true what she was saying with imprints. A lot of people will say, what's an energetic system, an ecosystem? I always like to say to people, if you have a cell phone, many of you I think have a cell phone, you don't question how it works, but it just works. You're like, I don't know how it works. It just does. And your body is exactly like a cell phone in the sense of, just bear with me, it has frequencies that it's always emitting. And it has, through your central nervous system, it is always telling a story. We become over time. I've been awake for over 25 years. I woke up 25 years ago when I had to. And I had to learn with my own body what it was telling me. And this is why it's so important when it comes to your relationships and the love. Like many of us, we have these stories of trauma. I know for me, my dad had kicked us out of the home when we were very young. I lived in a homeless shelter with my mom. And at a very young age had experienced trauma, kidnappings, and all sorts of things. And that left me with, as you can imagine, a lot of pain and suffering like many of you have had. And my ecosystem, my nervous system, I used to walk around shaking so badly, was my body telling me where I didn't feel safe or I didn't feel secure. And when we look at relationships, because I was the queen of attracting bad relationships and having to struggle, how do you mend relationships with parents or children or family when things seem, especially now today, so divided and so separated? And this is a journey that I encourage you to go on, because one of the things is we forget how intelligent your body is. And it tells you, when I was in my marriage and it was so abusive, it was shaking and I was so ill and sick and I wasn't listening to my body. And when you meet maybe a new person or you're in a relationship or you're struggling with a family member, your body is always giving you signals. But so often those signals, we misinterpret them. And yes, you have to look inside because they're telling you a few things. What is your imprint? Like Belinda was saying, what is your trauma? What is it that you're needing to learn? What is it that you need to look inside? Are you that people pleaser? I love that she commented on that, because so often in our society, shame and guilt that everyone carries, it's inside your system. Every organ has an emotional resonance to it. It's not just your heart, it's not just your chemistry. Every organ has an emotional resonance. So if you are afraid of commitment, if you're feeling fear or lack, or you don't know how to communicate, one of the best things that I learned through connection and commitment and dedication of understanding, for me, I say it's faith, it's trust, no belief. There's something much bigger out there in the world than all of us here. And we start to, whatever that is for you, it's for you. And when you start to understand how much you have inside of you, the frequencies, the vulnerabilities, the strength, it's in there. But look at it like a laundry pile, that it's been covered with these thoughts and feelings that I'm not good enough or I'm not perfect. Maybe you looked at images or you had trauma like I did. And when you see something maybe in a magazine or TV is not real, but you're like, my relationship isn't that. You're able to go in and start to dissect the communication with yourself. And to have strong relationships with others, you need to have strong communication with yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, and psychically. Because we know through research and science that it's less than 7% is what we speak. The rest is happening way up here in the ethers, like your cell phone. It's connecting through frequency. And when you meet somebody and they feel so familiar, a lot of people don't even realize you have a resonance with them. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it indifference? The resonance is probably like, I've met you somewhere. There is an imprint that starts talking. I know when I met my husband, I knew right away that I was going, my second one, that I was going to marry him. I just knew. I knew I had a resonance, that there was so much that we had shared, but we had learned how to communicate. Now, it was a learning process, but to communicate. And when you communicate, there's three things I want to make sure you write down. Three things. You guys are all talking about information. So these are three questions that you can ask yourself. You can ask your friends to build a great ecosystem of friends and family. Maybe it's relationships in terms of lovers. Maybe you want a husband or a wife. As you're dismantling the imprints that you have, as you're looking at your nervous system, you want to ask yourself, does this bring me more peace or more disruption? But you also, meaning calm, because the more calm you have in your nervous system, the more you're going to attract that person, that place, that kind of information that you want. And when you get calm and you're like, I already have that perfect husband or that perfect wife or that great relationship with my children, I already have that, and you're convicted on it, you'll start to realize your body will give you signals. Your body will start to say, really? Do you? So these are the three questions you can ask people when you're communicating with them to help bring calm and clarity to the situation. Is it you that needs to create some change, or is it someone else? And I say this because we're in a society where so many people want to throw people away. My boundaries, it's protecting my energy. No, it's fear, it's scarcity, it's push away. So the three things that I like to always say to people: what do you require? What do you require? So if you're not understanding and you want to communicate with somebody, what do you require? We've all had those relationships where there's assumptions, communication's not there, and the body is screaming. You're like anxious, you're mad, you're like, I wish they would do this. And it's because you haven't asked these questions. When someone can say, I require this, you can say, I'm able to do that, or no, I'm not. It gives choice. It gives empowerment. Ask yourself truthfully, what do I require? What do I require in this situation? That's going to help you really unlock what's stuck in your nervous system, creating dis-ease and discomfort from the organs in your body. The other one I like is, what's good about this I'm not getting? I always teach my clients and my communities and academies, what's good about this I'm not getting? If you're feeling frustrated with yourself or a relationship you have, and again, it applies to all your relationships, because your goal is everything you change in your life affects a relationship in another area of your life. So your friends, your lovers, your family members, what's good about this I'm not getting? And then you can start to just ask that question and watch what comes. You mean like, wow, what's good about this I'm not getting? I got to stop people pleasing. Or what's good about this not getting? I got to be vulnerable and let that person in. I need to speak my truth. I need to say with compassion, this is how I'm feeling. And that's going to start to move the nervous system. And the other question I love, and I use this a lot in my relationships, and my husband always laughs because he'll do it too. We don't argue. We have a lot of fun. We just talk about things and have this open-hearted space of understanding is, honey, what am I missing? If you're not understanding something with someone, what am I missing? And just pause for a minute, because now you're empowering them to tell you. So if something isn't working or you need more information, could you tell me what I'm missing in this conversation? Can you tell me what I'm missing? And that will open them up. It opens an energetic vibration. I am very discerning when I teach in the academies about words. Your words are so important. And in a world where there's division and separation, and there is a lack of understanding, we become this division is not of love. But it doesn't mean you allow people to treat you with disrespect. And when we come back to this place of understanding that separation doesn't get us to where we want to go. And no matter what, there are situations, and I like how Tamara said this earlier, there are situations you need to walk away, like I had to with a very abusive relationship, marriage. However, there are places where when we work and grow together, when you are willing to grow with the people around you and have these kind of conversations, and that's what 2026 is about. 2026 is about dissolving the limitations, dissolving the separation, and coming back from understanding where somebody else is coming from. And the big thing about relationships that I have learned, I can say I have beautiful relationships now, friends, family. I mended with my father before he passed. Like, I did all that. But I can tell you that in 2026, the mending of these ecosystems, when you can say to somebody, think about this when you meet somebody, and this is a takeaway before I let you go, I want you to think about. When we meet somebody, you come with all your belief systems and all your experiences. That person you met, even your family members and friends, they don't know that. They weren't with you. So one of the things that you can do, they're not going to understand you. So if you're coming with information going, well, I expect them to do this and I expect them to do that, they weren't with you. And I learned this with my husband. I said to him, and I want to encourage you to look at your relationships and say this, because even if you're married now, they weren't with you when you were 5 or 4 or 3. And I said to my husband, I need you to understand, because you probably won't, this is my reference point. This is what I experienced in the past. Although I've done all this work, this is the reference point. Because obviously if I met a person that was perfect a long time ago, I would have been with them, right? And he said, thanks for telling me. Now I know how to handle that with you. I know how I'm not going to do that. Or I didn't have any other reference point. So a takeaway today, please, with your relationships to make them sound. All the people you meet in your life, even all of us here, we've gotten to know each other, but we don't really know each other. So be vulnerable, be open and say, this is what I have experienced. I'm not going to expect you to do this. I'm not going to force this upon you. I'm going to be vulnerable and share it so we can have a communication on how to move forward. And the right person, always you will see it in their actions. And you will know, because your friends, your family, your lovers, whoever you have in your life, you're going to get more peace, and your nervous system will let go. And the key to all of that, you will become healthier. This whole summit is about health and wealth and connection and AI. You will become healthier and you will become wealthier. Thank you for taking this time to listen to me. Thank you. And those points.
I love the applause, as and you were saying thank you, and we want to say thank you. And when you were talking about your story, and with your father, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I mean, guys, did I say to get your tissue boxes out? I mean, we need to have the tissue boxes, and I'm sure there are many in the season of right now. They're saying, you know what, you were able to heal that. You were able to put some of this into practice and heal that relationship with a father that sent you into a homeless shelter with your mother. I mean, guys, did you really catch that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's hope in healing, right? That's exactly what you were just saying.
There is, and I had to take the lead, and it was so emotional to go through it. It took years and years because there's a whole other chapter to that story that was not so good. But you know what? That's what I say to people. You can choose to heal and let it go. It was a win for me, but in the end, before he passed, a win for him. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the other notes, because I was going crazy taking notes with you, and I love the questions, and then I have to say, again, the hope, because we're at the end of the year, we're going into a new year, and when we can learn from people's stories, right?
Yeah.
Your story of, okay, the patterns, generational patterns, and Coach Chuck is going to be talking about generational patterns.
Yeah.
You had those, and then you broke them, and you cut the cord, and now you've got this beautiful, loving relationship with your husband, and you can ask these questions of each other's.
Yeah.
What a way to start your day, end your day, all of that. What would you like to, again, as we're closing up our time together, is there anything more you'd like to add on that? Because right there, I was like, okay, star, exclamation point.
Yeah, you have to make things. I always say they're either important or they're not. They're a priority or they're not. And one of the things that I do with my relationships and make sure, and especially with my husband, is we actually make it a priority. Food. There's never cell phones when we eat, but we sit down every night after we eat. We have tea and we talk about the day and we talk about things. And we say, we don't let things fester. We don't let things get out of hand. But I encourage this with any relationship. If you have friends or family, or you've had disconnect, because you heard with my dad, things that happen there. If you let them fester for a long time, you're only hurting yourself. And 2026 is such a high vibration of change and transformation. I want to encourage everyone that's listening, don't get vulnerable, but don't be afraid to speak up. I'm not saying air everything, but if you walk just with these questions, it'll change your life. Just use those questions.
Oh, I can see how. As people go off to the holidays, what would be one tip that you would like to give them also if they're saying to myself, oh, that energetic system, I don't know that I want that relationship. I have to go eat dinner with them. What do you want them concentrating on? One tip that you'd say with your background for them to hold on to. Baby step it. Tracy said to do this, or what would be that?
You know what? I would actually go back to that question of just observing and what's good about this. I'm not getting. If it's challenging, and if it's not, I say, God, you say universe, divine, whatever, but it's like, thank you, God, I feel so blessed today. And actually, that's another thing that I would say a lot. Thank you, God, I'm so blessed today. Even if it looks crazy, I'm so blessed today, because there were days I didn't even know if I was going to wake up the next day. Like literally, I was flatlining. They were like, I'm so blessed today. So if you can go, thank you, and get into gratitude, if it's a difficult time, and say, what's good about this? I'm not getting, no judgment, just walk away, and you empower you.
Thank you so much for this time with you. It's been precious. It's been wonderful. People follow Tracy. And you have a website that you're redoing. The one she has now, I even told her I loved it. It's really cool.
Thank you.
So, okay. Thank you so much for your time, Tracy, for being with us. I appreciate it so very much. All right, guys, I'm sure that you're doing exactly what I'm doing, writing down. You're going to be writing down more. We have our next speaker ready to go. Now, Nadine Hanchar is the creator of she's developed a PEP, personality process. She's like, Tamara, I think I could really do your personality. I'm like, okay, let's do that sometime. She's an international trainer, best-selling author, speaker, NLP trainer, counselor, consultant, has all the credentials. Let's just put it that way, right? She has them, so many. She also specializes in working with trauma and relationships and communication, and in a action and result oriented way. So to get the results, the steps to make it so they can have a healthier 2026. She works with people, couples, families, organizations to have a better quality of life. Today, she is going to be speaking about strengthening families through We have your mic is muted. All right, I'm going to remove myself now.
I'm very sorry, my mic was muted. Welcome. I appreciate you showing up here today. And today I'm talking about heart connections, because one of the things that happens is, as both Belinda and Tracy were talking about, is we either come from fear or love. And when it comes to families or relationships, one of the things that's so important is to actually pay attention, as everyone's been saying, pay attention to yourself and pay attention to what's going on for you. And so families come in many forms, by blood, by choice, by circumstances. And families shape how we love, how we communicate, how we relate to the world. And healthy relationships don't begin with changing others. I know that that's something that might be a surprise to people. Healthy relationships come from the relationship that we have with ourselves. As a matter of fact, as you've heard in both the previous speakers, it's our relationship with self that really is so important when it comes to other people. Because, for instance, if you're saying, people always take advantage of me, well, we have to look at, are we setting appropriate boundaries? Are we speaking up? What's going on for us that we need to look at, and we need to love ourselves more. And as we care for ourselves, we bring a calmer nervous system, a softer heart, a clearer presence. And, we want to set expectation, but I wanted to give you today some simple tools that you can take into your relationships and use that will actually help your communication. So focus on connection, not perfection. And let's start with what truly strengthens the family. or the relationship. And that is presence. Presence is more powerful than problem solving. Not being present, presence is a practice, not a concept. And most conflict isn't about the issue. It's about not feeling seen or heard. So most conflict is, from that place of pain or imprint or what's going on in the other person or ourselves. And when we truly arrive and be present, listening opens up. Compassion rises, not comparison. Reactivity softens, actually. Presence allows us to see the human being, not the role, not the mistake, not the history. The result is emotional safety is created. And one of the things about communication is we want to feel emotionally safe. And when families feel safe, they can relax and be themselves. Can you recall a time when someone was really present with you? No fixing, no judgment. And as you recall that time, just notice how it felt in your body. And here's a simple way to create that kind of presence in under a minute. It's called the 60-second reset. This is the first tool. You want to, if you have a reaction to something that someone is saying, you want to pause. And you want to take some deep breaths and release your breaths. Use it before hard conversations, after long days, or in moments of tension. But if you feel something, it takes about 60 seconds for that to actually calm if you pause. So pausing, and if you're in an intimate relationship or a husband or boyfriend, I would suggest that you both learn to pause. And you can even say, I just need a few minutes before I respond. And what that does is that allows your system to calm, and it allows you to move back into your heart. Because what we've done is we've focused too much on our thinking and not enough on our heart. Our heart also has wisdom, and coming from love instead of reaction is going to be much better in your communications. And if you pause together, take 3 slow breaths. You can put a hand on your heart and another hand on your belly, and silently ask, what is truly needed right now? What is truly needed right now? And this is a key reminder that it's not about blame and it's not about winning. I do a lot of couples counseling, and you'd be amazed at how much is made into blame or winning. So the reason it works is the impact. It changes the emotional climate. And compassion comes from accessing, again, your heart. You don't have to solve everything. Just soften the moment. Another reasons families struggle isn't lack of care, it's difference. Understanding differences in the family. Everyone processes differently. So one of the things about my system, I have my book here, but in the PEP personality process, there are 24 different ways that all of the facets can go together. And a lot of times, you might be talking to your partner, you might be talking to your children, you might be talking to your mother, your father. Whoever you're talking to probably doesn't process the same way as you. And often when we meet someone who processes like us, it's like, oh, I feel like I've known you for a long time. And so some people may feel deeply and come from a very emotional place. Some people might be thinkers and they come from a very sort of logical place. Other people come from a place of vision, and they're looking at things, and they need to see the picture of it. And then there are other people that are sort of inventors and people that are very focused on getting the job done. So what we want to do is look at the really key truth here. No one is wrong. No one is broken. Now, that doesn't mean that you allow for violence or anything like that. As I agree with the two speakers previous to me that if you're in a violent situation, violence is not okay, and this is something that you need to actually probably leave that relationship. So healing is totally possible. And when differences are understood, judgment softens, empathy grows, families become allies, not opponents. And one simple question can shift everything. And that's tool number 2. And that is coming from a place of, how can I support you? Instinct is often to fix or explain. Please try instead, how can I support you right now? Or what would feel helpful in this moment if there's a disagreement going on? And why this works is that it honors the autonomy, it removes assumptions, and it builds emotional safety. And even if the answer is, I don't know, trust is built. And let's look at what helps families not just survive, but thrive. The power of appreciation. So what we focus on grows. So if we're focusing on what's wrong, that's going to grow. So appreciation shifts the emotional atmosphere. Not about grand gestures. It's about noticing effort, growth, kindness. Simple daily practices. Choose one person and say, I appreciate you for, and be specific. Appreciation builds trust, it builds safety, it builds connection, and appreciation is emotional nourishment. So caring for yourself so that you can care for others. You can't pour from an empty heart. Self-care is responsible and it is not selfish. It is one of the best things that you can do, is to really be kind to yourself, compassionate with yourself, and really, truly love yourself and work on loving yourself more and more. The more you get calm inside, the more that you love yourself, the more that you come from, instead of fear, you come from love, the better relationships with your husband, with your children, with your parents. It just works so much better. When we neglect ourselves, patience fades, reactivity arises. When we nourish ourselves, presence deepens. Love flows more easily. Create simple inner check-ins for yourself. Maybe set your phone 2 or 3 times a day where you check in. So what do I need right now? What would help me feel grounded? What can I let go of today? So transformation comes from small, consistent actions, not big overhauls. So the tools today that we've covered, and so put them down: the 60-second reset, the support question, the daily appreciation, and self-care. These create family resilience, compassionate communication, deeper connection, and your heart is your guide. When you lead with kindness and intention, you care for yourself and uplift everyone around you. So thank you for showing up. And one of the things is I have a tool for you, a couple of tools for you to take home if you'd like. They're free tools. I'm sure that they're going to be in the chat. One of them is called The 5 Core Components of Happiness. It's an ebook. And the other one is my garden meditation. So please enjoy both of them. And thank you very much for showing up.
You know, I want to say thank you for so much of the information that you shared. And as I was talking with you yesterday, that garden meditation, I'm excited to, I am excited myself to get that. And yet, you know, as I was writing down the information, the phone alarms, I want to go into that a little bit more because you touched on that. And I think that that really goes along with also your other, you know, 60-second reset and all of these different things. You can put on your phone alarms because we all have them with us, right? Put on your phone alarms. A lot of these things, right? Where do someone that might not know, where do they find a phone alarm? Let's go into the elementary of it, you know, the details. And so they can, because I told them all to have their, you know, notepads ready to go, write some stuff down. How can they find alarms to be doing this?
You go into the clock. And there's several different settings on the clock, and you can set your alarms on your clock. And, you know, it's an easy way to remember to stop and check in with yourself. I find that, you know, the more simple you can make things, the more we are prone to do them. so
100%. Go ahead.
Oh, and you know, so everybody processes differently. So it's really important to understand the differences in, you know, and to learn about each other. And oftentimes couples come in to see me and they really feel they know each other. And some of them have been married many years.
Or decades, maybe.
And, you know, what happens is that I have them do their processing styles, and then I talk about what those are like. And then I ask them what it is that they want to accomplish in coming to see me. And oftentimes they go, well, you just told us because of their processing styles. And so sometimes the differences can cause misunderstanding because we, as human beings, we expect everyone to be like us. Mm-hmm. And that's a human being thing. We all do that. And not everyone is like us. Mm-hmm. And most likely the people that you're having some friction with probably process differently than you. It doesn't mean that anybody's broken. It doesn't mean that anybody's wrong. It just means that they're different. And so learning how to work with that difference and bridge that is an important thing with any relationship you have.
And like I had asked with Tracy, because so many people are going to be gathering together. This is the season, you know, and, you know, parties and family. And some right now, let's just be real, maybe thinking, okay, yeah, party, yay. And I love the power of the pause and appreciation. What would you say in regards to, as we close this up, for as they're going, they're like, okay, I get it, I'm willing to do this. Is there a way that they could even in their phone put an alarm and even midway during the party and say, have you said appreciation or thank you or something like that, right?
Just checking in with themselves.
Okay.
I think the most important thing is, am I in my heart, or am I like in judgment, or, you know, having a conflict, or whatever it is, right? Uh-huh. And, you know, one of the reasons that I wanted to give some tools today is because of the fact that we're going into family situations. And, you know, if somebody in your family says something that you get triggered by, pause and breathe, and breathe. And, you know, at least 60 seconds, because the 60 seconds allows that to really diminish in the body. And then come from your heart. Yeah. Ask yourself, what is needed here, right? Yeah. What do I need to do here? What's my intention? Because your intention is important.
100%. I'd say also, if you don't know how to go, just say you have to go to the restroom. Go breathe there. Do a little, and then go back out with the, you've had the power of the pause, and give a little appreciation to yourself for some of the attitudes and tools that you were given today. Thank you. Thank you. It was delightful to have you on the stage.
Thank you, Tamara.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Okay, we're going on to our next one. Our next speaker has become a friend. This is what community is all about. I met her at a tech check in here a few months ago, and since then she's come on to my show, and we've become friends. I love it. That is the power of community. So again, guys, Global Speakers Talk. Put the notifications on social media. Join the group. If you have a speech that you want to give it. Now, Glenda Kroll is going to be speaking with us. My friend, she is a powerhouse. You're going to love her energy. She helps people to find their empowerment. She is a strategist. She also helps with women that are over 40. Her story is absolutely incredible. And when she came onto my show, and she stood for love with me. Relationship, love, family, right? And she talked about her family, and it's just so powerful. I'll tell you, I was weeping the very first time I met her when she was talking, and laughing at the same time. Roller coaster fun. She has a podcast called Let's Get Real, Wisdom from the Soul, and she also has a 3-step proven strategy to help with confidence through the recognize, reinvent, and rise. With that, she is going to be speaking to us today about, her title is called Why Was I Born? Question mark. Anybody really? Why was I born? Ansu, go ahead, and we're going to welcome to the stage my friend Glenda Kroll.
Hey, incredible women out there. We often celebrate caregivers as selfless heroes, and they truly are. But what happens to the woman who forgets herself in the process? It's time to reignite your confidence, step into your power, and truly believe in yourself. Because you absolutely deserve the attention. You deserve to shine brightly. This is your time.
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Global Speakers Talk, and a special thank you to Ansu and Tamara and all the honored guests with us today. I am so honored to be here. But before I tell you what I do, I first want to share with you of why I do it. Because long before I ever stood on stage, before I became a coach, an advocate, or a speaker, I was this little girl asking a question that seemed to linger on in my mind. Why was I born? This was not from sadness. This was from awareness and pure curiosity. Because I was born into a life that required me to see the world differently. I'm the youngest of 4 children, raised with a family with 2 brothers with special needs. My parents have 2 sons with Fragile X syndrome, a genetic disorder with many characteristics of autism. Our house was just full of love, but it was also full of responsibility. There were routines, programs, appointments, and business that my parents had to run, along with many, many challenges that shaped our family long before I understood what any of them meant. You see, as a little girl, I asked questions like, why do my brothers act differently? Why do people always stare at us? And the quiet question that lived deep inside of me was, why was I born into a family when my brothers had so many needs? It wasn't until adult that I learned that children like me are often called glass children, not because we're fragile, but because families often look right through us in the chaos of caring for others. But even as a child, I sensed another question that lingered inside of me for it seemed like forever. What will happen to my brothers when my parents are gone? And somehow, even then, I already knew the answer, that one day it was going to be me. My sister and I learned responsibility early, cooking, cleaning, and of course, watching our brothers. Learning compassion was through daily responsibilities, through love. When my parents passed, I stepped into the role that I had been preparing for my entire life. More than 35 years, I have been their caregiver, their advocate, their protector, but most importantly, their voice. That's when I learned the truth that shaped everything. Love is not passive. Love is action. Love is sleeping in hospital chairs through the night. Love is mounds of paperwork that nobody ever sees. Love is endless appointments. Love is being their advocate even when you're exhausted. Love is showing up again and again, and even when nobody is watching. Then there were seasons when everything collided all at once. Caring for my brothers, supporting my mother as dementia slowly changed the woman that I knew into someone who even didn't recognize me. It was raising as well 2 children of my own and walking through divorce, not once, but twice. The first time was searching for my own voice, and the second time was standing firm in my strength and walking away as the victor. Some days I felt strong, and then there were other days that I cried alone, wondering, how much more can I carry? And in those moments, I learned something that many of us tend to forget. We live and we give grace to everyone, but we forget about ourselves. For many years, I gave without pausing. I showed up for everyone, except for me. Until one day, my body made that decision for me. And Bell's palsy became my wake-up call. It forced me to listen. It forced me to rest. And also, it forced me to choose myself, because at that point, I really did matter. Because you can't pour from an empty cup, which I did for far too long. Even when you believe you have no choice but to try anyway. Then came the moment my second relationship ended due to infidelity. I looked in the mirror and I didn't recognize the woman that was looking back at me. Somewhere along the way, I had lost a piece of myself. That moment became my turning point. I chose to recognize where I was, to reinvent who I needed to become, and of course then to rise into the woman that I was always meant to be. That decision revealed my purpose in 2 incredibly powerful ways. First, to empowering women to create a bold, fulfilling second chapter, reclaiming their identity to build their confidence, step into their journey of their clarity and power within. No woman should work this path and be alone along the way. Secondly, and very importantly, is to help families and caregivers prepare for the future, redefining their roles and building their families along the way, and finally giving back to themselves, as it's so important through their lives. After years of giving to everyone else, because losing yourself in service to others is far too common. But rising back into your own life is where transformation really begins. This journey taught me something that I want every woman out there to remember. That it's never too late to come home to yourself again. Not at 40, not at 60, or even 75. Reinvention isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to the woman you were, the woman before life layered responsibilities, expectations, and exhaustion on top of yourself. So today, when I ask myself, why was I born? I finally know the answer. I was born to love deeply, to care fiercely, and to serve compassionately. But more than that, I was born to remind women and families and caregivers of something we forget too easily. Because I was born to remind you that you matter too. Propose something to you before you chase off. It's to reveal your resilience through love, through rising again. So if something in my story stirred something within you today, please don't ignore it. That quiet little nudge that you're feeling is not your weakness. It's your awareness rising above. So I invite you to take one brave step for yourself, to ask yourself a very important question. What do you want? Give yourself permission to dream. Then I want to invite you to book a private conversation with me, not as a sales call, not as a commitment, but just a safe, supported place to stop, to pause, to reflect, and get clear of what your next chapter could look like. Because sometimes the bravest step is simply by giving yourself permission to ask the question. Thank you for listening to my story and for allowing me to be there for you. Thank you so very much.
What I have to say, I started tearing up in some of what you were sharing, and it's because I do know a little bit more about your story than some because of what our time that we've had together. I want to dive a little deeper into some of this because you covered so much in this, and that's again, speeches are powerful, everyone. I think we're proving this in a short period of time. We can touch a lot. You started with a question, a self-reflecting question of why was I born? And then you turned it not only to why was Glenda born, but then it's like, okay, in a way, you're saying, okay, everybody out there, ask yourself that question, right? Why were you born? And I can say, Tamara, why was I born? And then when you were talking about the fact that our lives matter, that we matter, that our stories matter, let's dive a little deeper. You are a true advocate when it comes to those that don't have a voice. This is a platform that, every voice matters. Your brothers need your voice. And you've been on that road and you've been on it recently and you're here sharing your voice. Let's go into that a little deeper. Because sometimes we need to show up and we need to let people know we are showing up. What's been going on recently with you?
We have to speak out because so many people can't speak for themselves. And I live in that area of life. My brothers have special needs. One of my brothers is a lower level intellectually. Mind you, like I say, I've learned my best lessons from my brothers. But, I've been in recently in hospitals, and I demand that they get looked at in the proper way, because when my brothers land in the hospitals, like I say, I sleep on chairs, and I'm not talking because it's just talk. I virtually sleep on chairs for days, for weeks. When my brothers are in the hospital, I stay there. I don't leave their side, because, first of all, they know when Glenda's around, I am their support. They have nothing to worry about. And, I am there to support the doctors and nurses, and I am nothing but more respected because of it all. But most importantly, my brothers get the incredible care, and that's what it's all about. So teaching others about to speak up for their loved ones is so important. And that's what I do. I go to places where there are special needs families, and I teach them to speak up for one another and give them the courage to do so. And it doesn't matter of the level of anyone. I don't care if you're a doctor. I don't care if you're a president. I don't care. When Glenda comes through your way, I will speak the truth, and that's what matters. It's because they matter. And if I don't speak for them, who is going to? So your voice matters, because if somebody can't, that's a matter of life and death. And I take it very seriously.
It really is. And anybody that knows that I have a community, worldwide community of people, that there are people that are right now experiencing a shock because of a possible health diagnosis. And what we do is we encourage people to have a support system, a buddy, someone to go with them. Bring your phone, hit the record button with the doctor, right? Come with questions, and you can bring even more than one person sometimes into the room, right? Some people will say, well, wait a minute, I can't do that. I can't do that, Glenda, because that's against the rules. That's against the system. It's not against the rules. It's not against the system, right? Advocate Glenda?
There are no such thing as rules. I grew up knowing that rules were to be broken. I was, my parents had a really difficult time with me. They had their hands full with my brothers, but I was the rule breaker. I don't know. I was the little devil that they had to deal with. And so when people tell me there's something you can't do, there's nothing you can't do. I don't care when somebody says no, I say no going forward. I don't stop. No is not an answer for me. So there are no rules. When people say, well, you got to only go to the next level. No, that's not true. I go right to the top. I don't believe in going to the next level. And I do it time and time again. And I don't care, because I'm advocating for the people that I believe need to. And women need to advocate for themselves. They need to advocate for whoever it may be, whether it's your child. I've been doing it all my life. When my kids were going through difficulties, instead of going through my kids, my kids wouldn't even realize I'd go to the school and I would talk to their teachers so that they would get special little extra attention, because things were happening in our family and I didn't want my kids to be falling. I just go around, and sometimes, you don't have to be loud at it. You can just walk around quietly and be there supporting the people you love. But it is all about doing what needs to be done.
Right. And what I was doing this top down, that whole top down method, right? There's the bottom up and top down. Write these things down, guys, because, right now there's a lot of people out there struggling. There really is. Let's just be real. And here at Global Speakers Talk, every voice matters. And your brothers' voices matter. Your brothers' voices matter. And you are an advocate teaming with them as a support system. Also, I want to recognize, and we're close to being over, but I want to say also thank you for bringing up and being vulnerable about that. Sometimes when we're called to these missions, it's not like life is rosy and everything's perfect during it. And yet, and you know, you clearly stated you were going through everything, yet you still, we have those days that sometimes I'm sure, you know, and we could go on with this, and you, and guys, check her out. Go listen to her podcast. Go check her out. Take her up on her gift of time with her. This is a woman that really deeply cares and is dedicated and has made it a mission to care. So thank you, Glenda.
Thank you, and for allowing me to be here today. And you know, like this is my mission in life. My mission is to give back to the world, because I don't want people to feel like I did, having to walk this path all by myself.
Thank you.
And for living these years, I have a lot of knowledge that I want to share. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you, everybody. Take her up on the offer. All right, we are continuing. All right. Next, we have someone that I actually call a brother. I do. I've known this man for a number of years now. Coach Chuck, the locker room coach of life. He's actually a real coach, like athletic coach, and has been for a few days or decades. Wink, wink. He'll tell you more about that, I'm sure. Charles Prinzens, also known as Coach Chuck, is a survivor of negative childhood traumas, and he's going to, you know, and that can be generational. There can be generational cycles in all of that. And he has overcome this and then learned and then became a teacher, going out and working with at-risk youth, going to schools, going and helping people to transform limiting patterns and create a legacy of champions for the future. Through the work with at-risk youth, he uses innovative, fun things like Monopoly or credit and credibility or diamond in the rough, different kind of cool things. Kids need cool, right? To guide the youth towards awareness, resilience, and empowerment. His mission is to break the chains of negative patterns and cycles and equip generations to rise stronger. Today, he is going to be talking about generational cycles, of course, breaking cycles and building champions. Ansu, let's play the video. Coach, you're up.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
You know, me and modern technology, I hate it, but you got to have it. So, hey. This could be, this could turn into some emotional stuff, because I got to tell you, I've been waiting I've journeyed through 67 years of change. And I'm going to talk about that today. First of all, I want to give all praise and glory to my Lord and Savior, my Creator. I choose to call God, because without Him, and a promise that I made at 3 years old, that if He would let me get old, I would make it right. Today, Golden Speakers Talk is allowing me that opportunity. And when survivors go back to where they came from, and they go back into the depths of the mind where they once were, it's hard to go back, but I appreciate this time. So that being said, You know, I am Charles Prinzen, aka Coach Chuck, your locker room coach in this game of life. I'm the CEO and founder of Follow Your Dreams Athletics. And my CEO does not stand for Chief Executive Officer. My CEO stands for Courage, Educating Others. That being said, good coaches coach X's and O's, great coaches coach life. And sometimes when coaches coach, they're all over the place. They get their clipboard, they get their chalkboard, they get their dry erase board, they're all over the place. However, sometimes, and I've been taking notes for days now, they don't work because that was the then. Let's talk about the now. So I appreciate this opportunity. And Tamara, you know how I feel about you and Chemo Buddies for Life. Yes, I will mention that because nobody, just like today, nobody's going to get left behind if they take notes and they reach back to those speakers that are passing out those nuggets. So here we go. Have you ever heard you sound just like your mother or you act just like your father? Are you a carbon copy or a spitting image of those that came before you, the generation before you? What about the generation before them or the generation before them? How far back? So I'm going to give you a breakdown in Coach Chuck's analogy. And we're going to talk about offense, defense, okay? Offense, traits of the environment that you live in are positive. Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, Halloween, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy. If you're in that environment growing up as a child, chances are you're going to survive and become very successful. On the defensive side, and that's where I came from. I'm not gonna third party anything. Everything I'm talking about today, I went through. And at 3 years old, after being beaten severely by a stepfather and putting in a safe home, and he was incarcerated, only to be given back for an additional 13 years of ugly until I ran away at 16 and got adopted by a widow Japanese lady. And that started a change in my life. It got me out of that negative environment, okay? Because our youth are victims of the environment that they live in. So I talked about the offense. I talked about the Christmas and Thanksgiving, all the positive traits in a loving family, a family that communicates, a family that shares, a family that loves and cares about each other. Now let's talk about the other side. The environment in a defensive, child abuse, domestic violence, alcohol, drugs, incarceration, abandonment, dysfunctional families, not knowing families before you because of the generational cycles of not having families in people's life, moms, dads, sisters, brothers, whatever, being separated. Well, what happens when you have those defense and you're in that defensive mechanism? Those defensive barriers go up. You surround yourself to protect. Well, at 26 years old, I became a monster. And I'll tell you how. When I went into that defensive mode, I went so deep into the mind. It was dark, it was cold, and I liked it because I wouldn't let nothing in. However, I held a lot in. I saw my mother stabbed and beaten for 20-something years until she passed away on Mother's Day, 1979, from 22 years of domestic violence. But she kept going back. We could talk about that at another time. So, and my mom's nickname was Bunny. Figure that one out. My stepdad was very abusive. He almost killed me twice, strangulation and drowning. Again, I was so deep in that mind, I would not let anything in for years. I just accepted it. I took the beatings. I handled it. And nothing was left behind when it came to what was put on my body by my stepdad. Nothing. So those defensive mechanisms that we build, just like the positive ones, the defensive ones protect us. We keep things inside. We keep that toxic poison inside of us because we don't want to let anybody know. We are just locked down. Well, here's the problem. Because I was in that mind through from 3 years old to 16 when I ran away. And then life started taking its own way as I got older into my 20s and my 30s. I had no idea that those traits, yes, traits, leeches that attach themselves to you in whatever relationship you are in your family, whether it's a positive or a negative, those leeches will attach themselves to you as they did me. And then one day, a 6-year-old stepdaughter triggered my CPTSD. How do I know I have CPTSD? Because one time when I was young, my mother was drunk, like drunk. She kept slapping me across my face, and I blacked out. I know what it's like to be on the other side. And when I came to, my mother was at the base of my feet. I had beaten her, and I didn't even know it. And my best friend that was spending the night watched me. He also watched me bail out of that house when I ran away to a safe house. So all that time, I'm just keeping this stuff in. And one day, my 6-year-old stepdaughter triggered. I'm not proud of this. I'm just telling you what happens when you live in a negative environment and those leech and traits become attached to you and you just live your life. That's all you know. You don't know any better because that's how you were raised. So you just go about that. I threw my stepdaughter across the room, and my fiance came in and I slapped her. And I went, what? No way. There is no way with what I went through in my life. And I only give you bits and pieces of the ugly that I went through that caused me to go deep into the mind. How could I have done this? No way. I watched my mother, I'm telling you, severely beaten by this monster. But I now became that monster when I decided to hit. Pain. And all that pain and trauma that I had in my life came out at one time. Boom, done. I went and seeked help. So if you are acting like somebody in your family ahead of you, the generation before you, like your mom or your dad, okay, or whoever raised you, if it's a positive environment, if it's a negative environment, think about what they have done, what they did to you, and make those changes as I did, because I went to a psychologist, and when he told me that I had traits, I said, can you please break that down for me a little bit more? And he explained to me, your stepdad is coming out in you. What? How's that? All you have to do is be in an environment, positive or negative, for any length of time, and those traits will attach themselves to you, and when they're ready to come out, they will come out. I became aware that I had issues that I needed to work on that I picked up from my stepdad, which was a victim of the environment that he lived in. That's all he knew. So he passed it on to me. So when you become aware, it's almost like you're not an alcoholic until you go to your first AA meeting, or you're not aware until you go and somebody tells you that you have a negative trait or traits. And if you don't correct them, they're going to continue to pass on to others as it was passed on to you. I became aware. I started to release those poison toxics from within me. Sometimes just talking to the man in the mirror, trying to release all that inside of me. And I made a change. And what I do now is I go into schools and I work with at-risk youth, those that are having to go to school and try to function after a weekend of a runaway or even living in that negative environment, domestic violence, child abuse, sexual abuse, all of that, and holding it in. I help our youth. I even help our parents learn how to break those cycles, move forward, and not only forgive, you're never going to forget, but learn how to feel that warmth and that joy of unconditional love to family, friends, and even, yes, yourself, because I am success. And all I ever want, like I said, is I made a promise if he would allow me to get old, I would make it right. I want to thank Golden Speakers Talk, Anshu, for all the hard work behind the scenes that nobody really sees. That lady is amazing. And I want to thank you for the opportunity. And even more so, look how good God is. That my beautiful sister, Tamara, and we've gone down some roads, some journeys together over the last 10 years or so. For her to be the host, things happen for a reason. And I'm grateful.
You know, where did the clap go? I'm looking for the clap sign. There we go. my brother.
I got notes everywhere. That's what coaches do.
Yes. Okay. I have heard you talk so many times. We have been on literal stages together. We have traveled to locations to be together. You shared some stuff today I've never heard.
I got lots.
So guys, insight. And you just had a birthday and we spoke. We've been speaking the last few days. And you just had a birthday and you kept saying, okay, Tamara, I've been leading up to this talk. And now I get it. The information you shared right now, people, again, tissue box guys, when you were talking about the experience that you experienced with your stepfather, and then you shared the experience of blacking out, waking up with your mom, and then running away. I had heard the story about running away piece. I hadn't heard that story, the connection of it all. You go into these schools and you're seeing this plus more now, right? I mean, it's an epidemic that we're dealing with. Tell us more about the future of hope is what this really needs to be about, right?
Well, change is possible. And even in our schools, because I've worked in schools for decades. Mm-hmm. I've worked with youth, whether they're athletes or whether I was a campus supervisor / mentor at a high school where they would call me when at-risk youth were talking about suicide, or when the detention room was so full and the teacher that was in there could not control them. They had me go in. And how did I handle that? Chuck, tell us a story. And I shared stories. See, our youth, the number one thing our youth do not believe they get is respect. And they don't know how to give it back. So I teach them. I show them respect, and then I demand it in return. And so, unfortunately, in our district, and it doesn't happen all over, but it happens to our at-risk youth. I was just lucky enough that I had teachers, coaches, and counselors that took care of me, and I lettered in 5 sports. The sports kept me off the street. So when I go into these schools, I help elevate those D's and F's, or F into D, so they can participate in activities like I did and have an incentive. Because there's no incentive when you come home or come to school from a weekend of running away and drinking and smoking blunts and partying and being destructive. That's all you know. And when you go to school, the first grade teacher or the first period teacher throws you out before the bell, just after the bell rang, because she really doesn't want you in there. These are the kids, or these are the young adults. I shouldn't say kids. That's wrong. These are the young adults, because it's disrespectful to call them a kid or a child. So I teach them, I help them become aware that positive things bring positive things. And if we can help you build your grade a little bit, and you can have some incentive to play sports or the band or choir or do things that give you hope, you're going to work on yourself, and you too become successful in your journey.
And as we end, and we're going to get your claps. I found the claps. And so we're going to do that in a moment. But I want you just to say yes here. This is a full family health possibility, right? You put the action in, you do those X's and O's. the family, the full family can heal, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Breaking the cycles and building champions, the individuals, the families, the community, the world, correct?
No,
Yay.
you know,
Okay.
the parents, all they ever want is for their child to be better off than they were. And sometimes they push them so hard, but they were in an environment, in a negative environment too, and there's only so much that they know because that's all they were raised in. So the children now, once we get a hold of them, once we put them through some of our workshops and stuff, they go back with positive self-esteem, self-worth, self-respect, and the parents go, "Wow, you're not a failure no more. Where did the F's go?" And they can
Yay.
explain that and say, "You know what? Dad, you need to look back at your generations before you and what did they pass down on you and break them so the generations after you will not have to go through that." And I can say that I've done that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing the wisdom. Look up Coach Chuck. And thank you for mentioning Chemo Buddies for Life.
You know that, right? Nobody's going to be
Yeah, of
left
course I
behind,
do.
even with GST.
There you go. All right. Bye-bye. We'll talk to you later. Okay, we are continuing. All right. I had to ask a question. I got to visit with our next speaker on the phone last night. And I was like, okay, tell me more. Because my background is I do come from the professional world, and I'm reading the resume, I'm reading the background, and I'm seeing that Ricardo Ortiz is our next speaker. And he has been a successful businessman in manufacturing, distribution, healthcare, and such, and helping to, companies to be profitable and finding their purpose and such things. And yet then it goes into a spiritual situation. After a decade of spiritual seeking and deep soul work, Richard shares what he discovered over a true mission and his true mission here on earth. Okay, it kind of even goes back with what Glenda was talking about with, why was I born? This is good. Guys, get your tissue box out, because I have a feeling we're going to want to use some tissue here. This is more than motivational talk that we're going to be hearing right now. It's about uncovering our purpose and the spiritual piece behind that, and our soul's alignment, and that every one of us we're meant for something great here in this life. And Ricardo feels that his mission is to help serve us to find our missions and more. You're going to be hearing from him. His talk, I'm so excited about this topic too, that it's like, okay, how is he going to tie this all together? His talk is entitled Living Life to the Max. Let's welcome to our digital stage, Ricardo. Ansu, go ahead and play his video.
Tamara, thank you very much for that warm introduction. I appreciate it very much. And thank you to Anzu and the Global Speakers Network for giving me the opportunity to share my life path. I'm going to try to share my screen here. So I have some slides. There we go. Okay. So I hope you're seeing the slide and it says enjoy life to the max. And I'm here to present, I consider myself a life coach, always learning. And a speaker, you know. So let me ask all of you, how many of you find your life unbalanced? Either too much work, not enough rest, too much stress, gaining weight, or your body doesn't feel easy, or you are a workaholic like I used to be, and you don't have enough time with your family. How many of you live without a life purpose or without direction? Or how many of you lack the spark of a joyful life? So we'll be talking about that, and I will be trying to guide you and help you to get that spark of life. And first, let's start by understanding that living life is not about the destination. It's not about when I have enough money, when I retire, when I have the best job. It's about now, embracing your life and the journey while you become that great person that you want to be. There is a series, a show in Netflix called The Big C. And in The Big C, the main actress, Laura Laney here, in the first episode gets told that she has 18 months to live. And because she has the big C, cancer, melanoma, and she only has 18 months to live. And so she starts changing her life and starting to realize what she has to do before she leaves Earth. And so I challenge you, if you knew you only had 18 months to live, how would you live them? What would you do? And I know it's a morbid question. My friends, when I told them about this stuff, they said, God, Ricardo, that's so morbid. And I said, I know, but you have to think about it. You have to think about it because we all have a purpose. And the purpose of life is to taste the experience to the utmost. This is a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. We all have limited time, and this time is sacred. And when you are young and you want to do everything in the world, you think that all those people who are older, and yeah, when I'm old, I'll think about it. Well, we all get old, and we don't have tomorrow guaranteed, you know. So, to me, the most precious resource we have is time. So, what are you going to do with your time? So, are you truly living, or are you just existing on a day-to-day basis? My talk is about challenging you. Discovering purpose often means listening to what calls you, what lights you up. You know, we all have a purpose, all of us. We are spiritual beings in a body living this trip. So let me tell you about my trip. I'm an immigrant into the United States. I am Mexican American, Mexican Italian, and my whole goal was to make as much money as possible. I have a really good education from the University of Minnesota, and I started a company. And my whole goal was live the American dream: house, swimming pool, travel, exotic trips and vacations. And in 2008, I went to a conference and I met a person. Her name is Lorna Slot, and she became a really amazing friend from that moment on. But let me tell you the journey. During that conference, we had lunch, and she told me about a special class she had called Finding Your Life Purpose. And I said to her, oh my God, if you teach me that, I will help you to market it. Now, keep in mind that she had not even asked me if I will help her or anything. It was something that came automatically into my brain. And I've been asking myself, why did I say that? You know? But she said, you are the man who has been sent to help me. I was like, huh. So, moving forward, that was April 8th of 2008. We had our first meeting on July 27th, 2008. And at that point, after going through exercises for 4 hours, talking about my dreams, and talking about my passions. She tells me, Ricardo, you're going to be a special spiritual teacher, and you're going to help people unlock all their potential. And I was like, really? I thought you were for real. There's no way I'm going to do that. So she she said, she went into a trance in front of me, just like these people are doing right here. And 2 minutes later, she comes back and she says, I'm right. And I'm here to tell you, you have to prepare for this. Well, needless to say, for those of you who have been touched by your guardian angels and God, my life became a nightmare from that meeting until September 4th. On September 4th, which, by the way, was the next time I was going to meet with Lorna, I had an amazing experience where God came in and released tremendous stress and opened my left ear and started guiding me to help people. And I started to learn Reiki, healing people with flower essences, the Akashic records, life, and the purpose of life. And so it was about 11 years of learning and then being guided to create awakenings and create others into an unshakable peace and serenity in this time of uncertainty. So I have a process to help others. I have come up with a term called awakening. Awakening is being awakened, understanding that we are here for a period of time, and being serene. There could be an earthquake, there could be a lot of things. And if you remain awakened and serene, your guides and the spiritual world will communicate with you and let you know what you have to do. So, what does living purposefully look like? Well, you have to be honest with yourself, honoring your true passions, and be authentic. That's one of the biggest keys. Be authentic. Really open your heart. Understanding that you should be happy now while you're going into this journey, and not happy when you feel you have arrived to that destination. Be happy all of the time. So think of life as a road trip. It's not just arriving, but it's about what you see, who you meet, who helps you change, and how you grow. I have just finished a book called Journey to Bliss, and it's about to be published. But anybody who sends me an email, I will send you a copy of it. And it's my journey to go from that person who was all about money and life, and there's nothing. It's okay to have your goals, but it's more important to be fulfilling your life purpose. And it's how I came to have my purpose and the method to help others to really find their purpose and stay awakened. So that's what Journey to Bliss is. I have developed a method to create an assessment to create balance in your life through family, friends, fun, future, fitness, finance, and faith. We gauge this dial and we understand at that point where is that you are lacking, where is that the lack of balance that you have. My life purpose, my fuel, is being a special spiritual teacher, unlocking the potential in others, as Lorna said. And she was sent by my spirit guides to inform me that I had to prepare for this, for my life purpose. So, what is your life purpose? Living with passion, intention, and connection will help you to have an amazing life. So follow your passion. Don't live somebody else's plan of your life. Live fully. Find out what are your fears, your self-doubts, your distractions, and really, really live authentically. So embrace life the best way possible, and you will find an incredible sense of meaning in your life. Enjoy the ride. Start today.
I want to say thank you for all that. When you and I were visiting, Ricardo, and I said to get the tissue out for people, and I want to dive a little deeper into this. We're gonna dive a little deeper into your experience, because here's a business. Anybody that's been involved in business, especially high-powered business, someone that's been trained as much as Ricardo has been retrained, and he didn't go into as much that we just had Coach Chuck, generational patterns. He comes from a family that this is something that he was used to. To get to the spiritual piece of it, I want to, this is spiritual awakening that you had. It was a deep experience. You asked me a question last night when we were on the phone. Have you ever had that experience before where you've been tried, that it wasn't pretty? You're called to something good, and then you get that dark forces coming after you. I want to dive a little deeper into that, because people are going to be able to relate to that. There
Yeah.
are many people that
Yeah.
have been called that way. What does that feel like?
Yes. So let me tell you what happened. Um, I what happened was my spiritual up to that point was driven by seeing a person. His name was Robert Parker, and Robert Parker will do tarot cards for me, and I will guide myself through meditation. And so I was able to see 3 months, 6 months out into whatever was happening in my life. Unfortunately for me, on December of 2007, Robert Parker died. And a friend of mine, um, recommended a person who did tarot cards and this type of work. But she was let's call it a dark force person.
Mm.
And so she read for me, and she sent a demon to attack me. And then she tried to say, I can help you with this, but you have to pay me a lot of money. Well, in that process, I was able to hear, be careful, she's doing this. So my spirit guides, what my guardian angels were telling me, be careful with this person. But this person was a powerful, let's call it witch, and so when Lorna came back, no, what I did is I started to reach out to people. I cannot sleep. I'm in anxiety all the time. There were 2 or 3 days that I couldn't sleep. I mean, I slept 1 hour, if so. And so I felt my life, my beautiful life, unraveling. So a prayer was given to me, an amazing prayer. The prayer is called, I'll say it right now for the audience. It's an amazing prayer for you to know. God, for the divine blood of your Son that saves and cures, I tie in your name any bad spirit that is within me or around me. And that hole that is left open, fill it up with your light. That prayer, Tamara, I said it in the night of September 3rd. I said it about 60 times. And then my life changed. Suddenly, this beautiful sword came into my into my visual at 3 in the morning. Light hit the sword. The demons left my body, and life never became the same. Amazing peace and love filled me up. And then I was like, holy cow, God is not just faith and smoke and mirrors. God is for real. And then I was like, okay, I'm a believer. And then I start hearing voices. Ricardo, I know you don't drink much alcohol, but for the next 2 years, don't drink much. I was like, why? we need to communicate with you, tell you more instructions. Okay, so for like 7 years, I didn't drink alcohol. And I was sending people, I saved divorces. The best way I describe it, Tamara, is I'm the monkey. You know the ventriloquist? Imagine a ventriloquist, right? You have a monkey, and the ventriloquist says the words. Well, I'm the monkey. The spiritual world is telling me what to say. I don't have the information. I'm just the conduit. But my students or the people that come to me and like, how could you know that? Like, I'm being told to tell you this, I'm being told that you have to be like this. I'm being told you have to heal your fear of XYZ. So do it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing such, a sacred story, truthfully, guys. I told you, get your tissue out. Thank you, Ricardo.
And Tamara,
Go ahead.
In the presentation you said yesterday, you had gone through the big C and you know what it's like to really look at life and look at the best, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Who are you going to spend the energy with? How are you going to have that quality of life?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and it's a mission that we can all, there is healing through connection, and it's like what we're doing here with Global Speakers Talk. Thank you again, Ricardo.
You're welcome. My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right, we have our next speaker that is going to be up here in a moment, and let me just make sure that we've got him in the studio. Yes, we do. Okay, we have Joseph Polisi is going to Polisi. I promised I was going to get it right. Joseph, forgive me if I didn't. He is a very respected. In fact, many of you will recognize Joseph from stages and international transformative coach, speaker, and one of the things that I love most about what I'm about to say here is that he's a devoted father, very devoted father. That gives, that warms my heart. Again, relationship, love, family, devoted father. He is renowned for his grounded wisdom and compassionate approach, which empowers individuals to undergo profound professional transformations through his elite emergence workshop and as a teaching assistant for the esteemed Man on Fire events. Joseph has been making a lasting impression and impact in countless lives. Today, he's going to be speaking about remember who you are. See a common theme here, guys? This is important. Again, who, what, where, why, and how. Get your notepads out. I've been writing down many, many notes. You need to be writing them during Joseph's time. Ansu, join with me in welcoming Joseph to the stage. Go ahead, Ansu.
Good morning, everyone. Joseph Polisi here. I didn't see that coming. Good morning, everybody. Joseph Polisi here for the pronunciation. It made me smile. I just wanted to share with you today. I'm going to be sharing 4 points on what I went through in my own life and what brought me to this point where I am now. Most of my life, I spent chasing relationships, and I don't know why it was so important for me, but I always wanted my own family. I wanted the wife, the kids, the house, the whole 9 yards, all of it. But that most of my life had me chasing relationships. And by the time I was 15, I had my first child. By the time I was 17, I was left to raise her on my own. And thank God for my mother. She helped me raise her. But after that, most of my relationships didn't really last long. They were toxic and unhealthy. And that put me in a place where I thought I was never going to have that family for myself. But I finally came to that day when I met my future wife, the future mother of my children. And I thought from there on out, my life was going to be all sunshine and roses, and that I was going to walk off into the sunset and that Disney World happy ending, and it was going to be all uphill from there. But that was not my reality. About a decade ago now, I woke up late in the middle of the night, and I went downstairs to get myself something to eat. And in the process of that, my wife's phone started to vibrate, and there was all these messages come through. I picked up the phone thinking that it was an emergency from her mother, but to my surprise, it was not that at all. These messages were something that were not in any way that any mother would be sending to her daughter. And to my surprise, I found out that my ex-wife at that time was having an affair. And it was in that moment that I had a moment of awakening. I want to share with you the things that I had learned through this journey. I was holding so much anger in that moment towards her, and I realized I held so much anger towards past relationships as well. But I finally had a moment of awakening in the way that I realized that this had nothing to do with her. It was the first time in my life that I finally realized that this was something that I needed to see in myself. And within that, I saw myself on a hamster wheel. I saw every relationship that I ever had in my life ended up the same way. Cheated on, left behind, left feeling so unlovable. At the end of the day, I felt unworthy. But I knew that there was something that I needed to learn. And so I looked for a mentor. I looked for groups that can teach me that. And I came along, as you heard earlier, a group called Man on Fire. And that group taught me some things that changed my life forever and allowed me to see the world with new eyes for the first time. And the first thing that they taught me was what they call discovery of the wound, or discovering the wound. And for myself, this really struck a deep chord for me, because what I learned is that between the ages of 3 and 5, we often experience something, what we call rejection, our first feeling of rejection. And through that feeling of rejection, we will do whatever we need to do to get that parent figure or parent's attention back. And we confuse that attention for love. So we either become the pleaser, we become the fixer, we become the silent one, the perfect one. We become all these things that we truly aren't, to be able to think that that's the way we get love. And so for myself, I became the pleaser. I did everything and anything that I needed to hopefully allow the people that I loved most to recognize me. And that was through giving everything of myself. And what I didn't realize I was doing was building resentment over time. This idea of, my God, how come I give all these things? How come I give everything of myself, but I never get anything back in return? And at the end of the day, I feel so unsatisfied in every aspect. Well, this came to a big moment of understanding and awakening when I came into the second point of what I'm going to tell you about, which is polarity. I had no idea what that word meant. It's when we're shaming and blaming others for the things that we don't want to see in ourselves. And I didn't truly embody this until the day I brought my oldest son to school. I remembered his mother always telling me that I put everything into my kids, and that what was I going to do the day that they were gone? They're going to grow up one day. What are you going to do when they're gone? Are you doing anything for yourself? And man, I took that in such a triggering way when she first told me that. But there was something about that I knew was the truth, and I didn't want to face it at that moment in my life. But then the day came, and I came home from bringing him home from college. And I came home and I was really depressed, knowing that this is the reality. This is the beginning of the reality. Now here it is, just me and my youngest son. But after sitting on my couch in this overwhelming anxiety and really becoming a prisoner to the story of it, I finally said to myself, no, Joseph, you're not going to do that. You're going to allow yourself to finally face and feel and leave the story aside for now. And when I did that, in that moment, I got brought back to a moment in my own life when I remember being in college myself and calling home to talk to my father. You see, the relationship with me and my father was not a really good one. The only way that I was able to get his attention was through violence, and I didn't understand why that was. But he had a brother who was murdered back in 1973. And it wasn't until this day that I realized how important it was for him to make sure that his children stayed safe and that would never happen again. And so in that moment, I was able to see that. And then coming to this moment when I was calling home for him from college, for him to recognize me, I wanted him to be so proud of me, but I got the complete opposite. I got, why are you there? What's the point in being there? Come back home, join the family business, and everything will be okay. Well, I got back home and that wasn't the truth. I left college and I hated him for a very long time for it, but I didn't realize how this was affecting my life. And in that moment, I was able to have compassion and empathy for him because I realized that he didn't know how to express his love and that he felt very similar to the way that I was feeling in this moment when I brought my oldest son to college. But being able to give him that compassion and empathy and free him from the prison that I put him in, and also the prison that I was putting myself in, and honoring my son in a way that my father wasn't able to honor me, I really broke the chains to a long liturgy of cycles, painful cycles, which brings me to my third and fourth point. Being stuck, wanting to know what it is to become unstuck, and taking my power back. When I understood this and I saw how this started way before anything to do with my ex-wife, I realized that I needed to really say sorry to her for all the times that I wasn't really listening. And so I let her know how many times she had told me what I really needed to hear. And I really didn't take the time to be compassionate and listen to her because I was too busy being triggered. This is when I realized that my triggers were my gifts. I realized that through that moment of being able to pause and look inward, I can start to see within myself how I was showing up in similar ways. And I began to free myself from that prison that I put myself in. I also realized that if it wasn't for her to do everything that she did, I wouldn't be who I am today, where now I'm helping men and women learn to love themselves. And it was in this moment that I truly took my power back because I realized that I was just a child playing a game that I didn't even know I was playing. And I was playing it for a very long time, and how I learned how to receive love in a very unhealthy way. But for the first time, I got to play that game differently. I finally got to take my power back and put myself first, understanding that when I truly want to love from a place of unconditional love, I need to give that love to myself first, because then I'm truly exempling to my children, which are the most important things in my life, and what it looks like when we love ourselves first, when we fill our cups before we try to give from a place of emptiness, because from that place, we have so much more to give to the world by giving to ourselves first. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Right now, I was writing notes. In fact, guys, forgive me for the pause, the power of the pause to get me up here, because I was like absorbing everything. And then as you're saying, thank you. And I'm like, I'm writing notes about your family and the full circle of with your ex-wife, and then your father, and you in just a very short period of time gave us so many, if you will, find family dynamics, and yet also the solutions to be able to deal with them. And we're going to dive a little deeper into this, Joseph, because right now people need to hear this going into the holidays, going and seeing the families. And how, I mean, right now I really, yeah, am I a little, because, you know, here's an ex-wife, you're going down in the middle of the night. You know, and the phone is going off, buzz, buzz, buzz. You're thinking maybe emergency, 911, innocent. Oh my goodness. And the chain of events. And then for you to immediately go into the action of you know, how did you, if you will, what was your part in that whole process? And then the forgiveness, and then the sorry. Dive a little deeper into that, because I think there's a big, huge lesson there for so many people.
Yeah, so for myself, the story that I don't really tell much is that a week before that I was in church and I was with my kids, and my wife hadn't been coming to church at the time, and I felt like something was off. But there was also this moment of awakening in myself where I just was like, man, this is so tiring, because I've been raising kids since I was 15, and my oldest daughter's 34 now. And now here I am, you know, facing the second time of being a single father again and doing it all on my own again. And I was just like, man, this is so tiring. Like, is this really what reality is? We just go to work, go home, pay bills, and then go do it all again the next day. And so I knew what I was going to ask, but I said, I am so tired of living my own will. I want to know what it's like to live a will beyond my own, something bigger than me. And I'm willing to give up whatever that is to live that. And it was the following week that I found out that she was having an affair. So in that moment, the first thing that really came to me was this little voice that told me, remember what you asked for. This is your moment.
Right.
And so we don't understand, you know, like, I truly believe in what we call soul contracts. And I believe that that many of us have come here in this world bringing light back into the world in ways that we don't expect. And so we want to call things good and bad, evil and good, or dark and light. The truth is that everything serves purpose, no matter how we want to look at it. If we look outside of this small little planet inside of the universe, everything serves purpose, and chaos is very necessary.
And
so,
you know, another piece
yes,
to this whole puzzle that, you know, you mentioned being so young. And, you know, here's Coach Chuck that's going into the schools and talking to these kids, young adults. You know, let's use the respectful way of you were one of those young adults that here you are a young adult with a child. And, you know, like, you gave credit where credit is due to your mom helping out and everything like this. And now you have this older adult that, you know, I'm sure you're very proud of. And you know, yes, that title, proud title of father, and that's what you always wanted. I think that there's possibly some people out there, the who, remember who, what, when, where, and why, guys, and how. There's probably some who's that are out there right now that are saying, yeah, I'm young too, and I'm facing that too. And how did you get through that to the other side?
Well, you know, the journey of being young and coming to this point, it was just a journey. It was a real journey, and I didn't see it in that moments in my life. Now I can see it. Now I can see it so much clearer. You know, the relationships that were happening in my life, I was so young at that time. And so, you know, being a girl and dating a guy with a kid at that time, I'm like, why are my relationships ending so quickly? Now I can see it and go, okay, I get it. That's pretty wild. You're dating a guy with a kid, and the parent of that girl must have been like, you're dating a guy with a kid. So now as a parent, older parent, I can see that. But at that time, it didn't change the way I felt. I felt left behind, alone, you know, and not enough. And so I see the necessity of everything that I've ever gone through in my life to make me who I am today. And that's why I'm so grateful for all those parts of myself, because what I see in the world is people spend so much time trying to throw out parts of themselves that they think aren't necessary or they think won't be acceptable. But those are all our parts. And it's so important to embrace all the parts of yourself, and knowing whether you've done something bad or good or in between, it all was necessary for you to come to this moment of awakening and understanding who you really are. And it builds a character of ourselves, a energetic signature of ourselves that speaks to a bunch of people out there and helps them to come to this place of awakening too, because they feel heard and seen within each and every one of our unique signature in our voices. And so that's why it's so important for us to understand how important our stories are. We just don't know how important they are until we begin to understand who we are, come back home to us, because through my own story, I lost myself thinking that I needed to become something or be something different from who I was to be able to have a relationship in my life. And through this, I started to understand that the person who sets the tone in my relationships is me, by setting that tone with myself and my own relationship with me. And the more that I grow that relationship with myself, the more I come home to myself, the more I start to put a beacon out there for the people who honor and have love for who I am. They see me for who I am. We're not meant to speak to everybody. We're not meant to coach or heal everybody, but we do have that certain people, those certain tone of people who are resonated to our voice and our message. And so that's why it's so important to come home to ourselves and remember who we really are, and also understand how important all these pieces of us are. It's about exposing ourselves to the world and being loved anyways. And for anybody who would judge us from there, it's not our stuff anymore. It's theirs. And we are the mirror to them and the example and what it looks like when we come from a place of unconditional love.
Guys, watch this again. I'm going to just say, watch it again. So many words of wisdom, pearls of so many priceless pearls. Thank you for your time, Joseph. So valuable, so valuable. Again, we're going to give you the applause. And enjoy your day. I know he's got another speech that he's going to go off and give right now here soon. And we are going to be rounding. Can you believe it? We're rounding the time together today. And this third annual Global Speakers Talk event 2025 with our next speaker, our final speaker for today. And stay with us because we have a special song and performance that's going to be played at the end. We want you to hear Brittany Kennard is going to be speaking with us. She's got over 11 years of experience, and may I just say, this woman is all about service. All about service. When I was speaking with her yesterday, and she's also one of the most polite ladies that I have spoken to, and I'm like, okay, tell me your background. And she did. And she has made her life a mission to go out there as an advocate for the military families, people that have served, our veterans, and also those that are underserved, the underserved. She is all about service dogs, which has a huge place in my heart. Thank you very much, Brittany, on that one. She also it gets out there to make a difference when it comes to our laws and regulations, when it comes to things like the ADA, which that's important to me. Another story, but that's important to me. HUD, fair housing, so many of these things. Also helping with people to understand and find awareness and resilience and turning trauma into triumph. Trauma into triumph. We need more of that right now. And Brittany has created, she is the president of Brittany Kennard LLC. She is going to be speaking to us and closing out today and this full event with her speech, which is entitled Rising Storm, Turning Life's Challenges into Victories. Get your pad and paper out. Think about, is this applying to you or someone else that you know? And let's welcome to the digital stage, Brittany. Ansu, go ahead and play her video.
Ever wonder what it takes to be truly impactful? Meet Brittany Kennard. an inspiring entrepreneur, author, and speaker. She's passionate about building stronger communities and healthier nations. From TEDx stages to online, her message truly resonates, inspiring so much change. But it's not all work. She finds joy in every moment, fully embracing life. And she's celebrated for her dedication, recognized as a 100 successful woman.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I want to take a moment to talk to you about something that we all experience, which is challenges. Life can be tough. Trauma can sometimes feel insurmountable. But today I want to share how we can turn those challenges into victories. And we're going to start by understanding trauma. Let me start with a story about myself. I am born and raised from Mississippi. I grew up in a very volatile home, emotional abuse, narcissism, the whole 9 yards. And I left home when I turned 18, moved to Nashville, went to college, got married, and at 28 years old, my husband was serving in the U.S. Army and was blown up by an IED or bomb while serving in Iraq. And at 28 years old, I became a caregiver. It was something that I did not plan on. That wasn't part of my life goals. I also became a mother, and I have 2 boys. My oldest son has autism. So I was dealing with multiple issues. And my husband's care was quite intense. To have 2 little babies and also be caring for him. It was so challenging. I don't even know where to begin on all of that. But learning how to juggle all of it, I got really lost. I went to a really dark place. I kept thinking, why is this happening to me? I don't understand. Why is this happening to my family? And I think that's how a lot of us approach different things that occur in our life is why is this happening? And the impact of all of it took a toll on me personally, took a toll on my marriage, it took a toll on my children. But trauma can shape us in very profound ways. It can create feelings of isolation, doubt, fear, but it can also serve as a catalyst for growth and transformation. And that's when I realized that the pain and the frustration I was feeling could fuel a purpose. And that's what inspired me to start the SD Gunner Fund and to also start my business, Brittany Kynard LLC, to begin talking to people. Because I sat there and I thought, okay, I can either let this determine my outcome, or I'm gonna use this to define who I really am. And that is taking my experiences, taking my struggles, and taking my pain and using that to benefit others. If I can tell my story to just one person, if I can help just one person, then I have made a difference. And I think that's where a lot of us, when trauma occurs in our life, it either breaks us or it makes us. And so in telling you a little bit about my story, I would encourage everyone, and nobody's trauma is the same, and a lot of times we like to compare and we like to see who's got more trauma or who's got less trauma. It doesn't matter. Trauma is trauma. And how that person processes it doesn't really matter how you process it, because it may be a lot to them and a little to you. But the fact that it's a lot to them is a huge matter to them. And so you take that process and you try to heal, and then you use that to help others, to sort of motivate them or to give them an outlook. And that was one of the things that I really tried to use my family's trauma and my my upbringing and everything else was to just let people know, hey, we've all got stuff going on in our lives. We've all got screwed up stories. We've all got a mess. But let's talk about it. Let's feel it out. Let's see if we can heal together and see if we can help together. And so part of the journey of healing that I have figured out is that small steps matter. And one of the most important things I learned early on, and it took me a hot minute, trust me, was to celebrate small victories. I started journaling my thoughts, reaching out to friends, volunteering, and then forming my own nonprofit to help others. And these baby steps, although they were small, they were very crucial in my healing process. It doesn't matter if you win a Nobel Prize, or a great example I like to give is if you got out of your pajamas and put a bra on and went to the grocery store. If that is a big step for you, then you are winning. Okay, it doesn't have to be a Nobel Peace Prize. It really doesn't. If you took a shower and combed your hair, because trust me, ladies, I have those days too. If you got out of bed, took a shower, combed your hair, like I said, put your bra on and left the house, kudos, you've taken steps. And part of me saying that it doesn't mean that it's a Nobel Peace Prize or if it's a baby step to the grocery store is no one size fits all. We as people often judge our journeys against each other, thinking we should be further along or achieving more. You know, I'm thinking, hey, I did good. I got dressed and went to the grocery store. And this person's over here like, oh, I climbed Mount Everest. Okay, that doesn't make me I feel inadequate now. But no, you can't look at other people. The truth is, everyone moves at their own pace. Don't look to others. Don't judge others. Writing a single sentence in a journal for me was a victory on a tough day. And like I said earlier, for someone else, it might be getting out of bed. It might be picking up and making a phone call because they've been locked in their house for 3 weeks and they just have not wanted to people or to socialize. As we move forward, it's easy to look at someone else's accomplishments and feel inadequate. But remember, we cannot judge others' success by our own standards. Each person's journey is unique. Think of a marathon runner who trains for years before crossing the finish line. Their path is very different from a sprinter, but they're both athletes. Similarly, each of our life experiences builds resilience in different ways. When we try to transform our pain into purpose, for me, it began by sharing my story, helping others navigate their confusion and frustration, especially military families. You know, a lot of people don't realize they think we have a ton of resources, but when you're injured in the military, you're pretty much left up to your own and you got to figure it out. And at 28 years old, becoming a caregiver, it wasn't like I was caring for my grandparents. I was a very young caregiver, a very young mother, and a very new wife. And I found that by sharing my story and helping navigate people through theirs that had similar stories to mine, not only healed me, but it uplifted others. And this transformation was so powerful for me. It allowed me to step out of myself and see what it was doing for others. And that, in general, was healing enough for me. So when we share our experiences, we create what I like to call a ripple effect. One person's story can ignite hope in another. You don't know who you're talking to or what they're going through that day or that month or that year. It may seem something very simple to you, but by telling your story, you might have helped that one person that day. And that is how you turn trauma into triumph, not just for ourselves, but for those around us. So as we move forward, let's take a moment to acknowledge the small victories in our lives. Maybe it's a new skill you learned, a difficult conversation you had, or simply getting through the day. We've all had those days. It's usually Mondays and Fridays. Each one is a testament to your strength and your resilience. And celebrate the moments, big or small. Encourage those around you to do the same. You can choose to be sad, or you can choose to be happy. At the end of the day, it's still a choice. So we're going to choose to celebrate those moments. We're going to choose to encourage people. And when someone shares their small victory, lift them up. I got friends that will call me and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I went outside today. Yes. You know what? We got some vitamin D. We saw the sunshine. Good for you. Because a kind word can be the fuel that they need to keep going. And it can be something extremely simple. So we're not meant to navigate our challenges alone. Building a supportive community can significantly impact our healing journey. And whether it's friends, family, or support groups, having people who understand can make all the difference. And that's why getting up and telling your story and communicating with those you love or those that you're around can be such a huge difference. And by sharing our stories and supporting one another, we create a culture of empathy and understanding. And the community that we create helps us see that we are not defined by our trauma. Rather, we are defined by how we respond to it. I can't tell you how many people hear my story, hear my full story, because I don't have time to tell it all today, but hear my full story and they just look at me and they go, how do you do it? I look back and I say, I didn't have a choice. How do I not do it? You know, I can either sit here and be depressed and get myself down and cry about it, or I can figure out a way to heal. And then I'm going to use that to help others. So as we move forward, let's commit to embracing our journeys, no matter how challenging they may be. And let's recognize that trauma can shape us, but it doesn't define us. It doesn't make me who I am. I make that choice. You make that choice. So I encourage each of you today to take a moment to reflect on your own experiences. Celebrate your victories, no matter how small. And remember that every step forward is a reason to rejoice. Together, we can turn our trauma into triumph and uplift one another in the process.
Wow.
Thank you for being here and being part of this journey. And let's continue to support each other and celebrate every step we take.
Wow, 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 wow. You know, so your story, when you and I spoke and you talked about, and I'm so glad you talked about it in your talk, and you know, being such a young mother and having this young military husband that, as you say, was blown up, and navigating that, and now going out there and sharing that their stories matter, your story matters, their stories matter, and being an advocate for those lives. I want to again, you know, congratulate you for all of that and taking on this work, because we need more of you. We need more Britneys out there. And I want to highlight one of the things you said in regards to the small baby steps, because one of the things I tell my cancer community is that, and you said about putting on the bra to go to the grocery store. I'm like, if you get up, get some clean jammies on, make your bed just to get back into it, make your bed change your world, right? Make your bed change your world. It's that activity, that small baby step that can actually be that first step to healing, correct?
Correct.
Thank you so very much for closing us out today. Our hearts are with you and with your mission, and I cannot wait to hear more about what you're doing in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. So guys, can you believe it? We're there. We're there. Let me put there we go. We're there. We have now heard today's speakers in regards to relationship, love, family. We've had multiple speakers for all of the days since the welcome day on December the 1st. Go back and watch it. That was a different format. Go back and watch it. We previewed, so then you can get your notepad out, your journal, find out which one of those days you want to go, and then go to social media, Global Speakers Talk pages, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Go to the ones that YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook this month for 30 days on Facebook, where you can go and watch those days and go back and rewatch. And if nothing else, do what I do. Like, I'll go in the middle of it and boom, I'll spend 20 minutes, half an hour, watch whoever shows up, then do it again, crunch it, take notes. Who, what, when, where, and why? How did it touch you? Who needs to hear that message? Was it you? Was it someone else? Share that message out. And also, right now, I want to think about the bigger picture. Also, you'll be on the Global Speakers Talk pages. And if you have questions about this community, and if you've ever wanted to be a speaker on a digital stage, start on a digital stage. Contact Ansu, who has been teaming with me, and I want to give her the biggest round of applause. And I want to give, again, a huge warm welcome or warm round of applause to all the speakers from today. So join me in that. And go to those pages. Messenger Ansu. She'll be the one that will answer. Ask the questions. How do I become a speaker? What do I do? How did you get started? Whatever may be the question that you've got that you want answered, ask it. Go back and watch AI innovations, emotional intelligence, mental health in the digital world, power of affirmations, management and productivity, financial freedom, leadership resilience, and today, relationship, love, family. It takes a global world to make a difference. It takes an individual to step up with their voice, to be heard. It takes sometimes a no, like with Ansu, to say, okay, no for now. Yet, others will not hear no. They'll be welcomed onto a stage where they'll get yes. We want to hear what you have to share. We want to hear your voice, because you see, every voice matters and every journey is honored. We're raising our voices, we're transforming lives, and we're telling the story. Join this community. And guess what? You can talk for free. What a benefit is that? There's other programs, of course. However, you need to start somewhere. So again, all the love, all the appreciation, all of our thanks to Ansu Tiwari, who said, no, not now. Yet, yes, I will stand up Yes, my voice will be heard, and so will the voices of the world. We need to hear your voices more than ever because our world needs relationship. Our world needs love. Our world needs the global family to connect arm in arm, heart in heart, voice in voice, to say 2025 is almost in the books. However, the possibility and the work to be done in 2026 is right now an open book. Are you ready to make an impact? Are you ready to have your voice heard? And are you ready to step up to be the leader that you always have had in your heart and in your soul, and you know that you are supposed to do because you were called to it? Possibly a soul contract before you came to this world. We're going to end with a song, Voices of the World. It is a song that I wrote, and it's a song that I gifted to Global Speakers Talk because I believe in this platform. I believe that you out there matter and that we want to hear from you. We want people from around the world to show up and to gather together and be the voices of the world. With this, I am going to be closing out our conference. The song will be the end, and I am going to also invite you all back for the 4th annual event that will take place next year in 2026 for the 4th annual Global Speakers Talk event that will be held in December of 2026. Until then, enjoy the voices of the world and make this year matter, and next year the possibilities of it being fabulous and impact your life and the lives of others. Ansu, let's play the song.
Sunrise, every shore, a call for change we can't ignore. A spark of truth, a dream unfurled. We are the voices of the world. We're raising voices, transforming lives, a wave of hope that never dies. Each word a seed, each heart alive. Together we shine into the night. AI inspired, a new design, emotion Together we are Global Speakers Talk. Together we are Global Speakers Talk.